A very good evening to you, our esteemed viewers. We are delighted that you are watching Church of Uganda Family TV and particularly Flourishing Hub. Flourishing Hub is a program brought to you by Young and Flourishing, and this program is centered around inspiring, educating, and encouraging the youth to be world-class leaders. This program is based on 4 pillars, and these pillars are the pillars on which Young and Flourishing Foundation is built. The first one is money. We want our young people to know the principles of money management, how to make money, how to save money, and how to invest this money instead of wasting it in things that would not call for returns afterwards. And the second pillar is daring in life, identifying and exploring opportunities that will later become world-class businesses. And the third pillar, of course, is mentorship. Here we mentor you to flourish. You need experienced people to speak to you, to guide you, to advise you. It is the reason we are here. And the last pillar on which Young and Flourishing Foundation is built is strategy. You need to have a plan for your life. If you do not have a plan, you will always be on other people's plans. So we are here to make sure that you have a plan, and all this is done in improving your mindset as a young person so that you can thrive through this world. Wow. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name, your host, and we are delighted this evening to have someone far away. She has come all the way from Dar es Salaam to come and speak to you as a young person, as an African, so that we grow together as Africans. She's here to empower you. This is none other than Eleanor Nowe Bageine Masoud. Masoud is a student of psychology. She's a real estate consultant. She's a part-time lecturer at the University of Dar es Salaam, but she's also a financial investor. So she is here to take us through our topic, which is a very content topic pertaining the 4 pillars on which this program is built. Before we dive into the topic, I'll request her to greet us. Elian, you're most welcome to Flourishing Hub.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you so much for sparing this evening to be with us. And thank you so much. I know you're Ugandan, but at least you now have another identity in Tanzania. So we are glad that you've decided to come back and give back to your own land.
It's a pleasure.
Kindly greet our viewers, and then we shall continue with our topic.
Fantastic. Good evening to everybody. I'm delighted to be here and to have a platform to speak to the youth and to the people out there on a very important topic that touches all of us.
Sure. So how is Dar es Salaam?
Oh wow, Dar es Salaam is good. It's hot.
It's like seriously?
Yes, it's usually very hot, and it's actually starting to get hot now. So yeah, we are coming out of the cool weather and going into the heat. But it's really good. It's very warm. Great people, many opportunities. So yeah, it's good.
So how can you compare life in Dar es Salaam and life in Uganda generally?
That's a trick question. Well,
no, I know the people watching you in Dar es Salaam will not be mad at you.
Well, let's just say that it was very easy for me to make a home in both.
Okay.
It was very easy for me, of course, growing up here in Uganda to call Uganda home. But then even while I was at university, it was easy for me to feel like Tanzania or Dar es Salaam is home.
Okay.
Because I remember leaving school and coming home for holidays feeling like I'm leaving a piece of me behind. And then also leaving home and going back home still feels like leaving a piece of me behind. So yeah, I think they're both very homely and unique in their own ways.
Sure. When you talk about uniquely, the first thing is language. And now,
Yes.
this is my own experience. The first time I was there, I was using English, and I realized people were understanding the English I was using, but the response was Swahili.
Yes.
Even when someone understands the English, they'll respond in Swahili, even when they can speak English.
Well, English is treated as mostly a foreign language because the national language is Swahili. And it composes a big part of their identity.
Sure.
So for you to be a part of them and for you to blend in, it is wise that you learn Swahili.
And I've started learning some.
Good for you.
Some.
Good for you. Well done. Well done.
Karibu kwa Chatuliana Family
Asante sana,
TV.
nashukuru sana, nafurahi sana kwa hapa.
Yeah. So this evening we are looking at the magic of consistency in saving and investment. Consistency of the magic of consistency in saving and investment. We don't want you to save only. We want you to save and then invest. That is when it makes a meaning. So it is the reason our guest is here. And Eleanor, I believe that what separates successful people from unsuccessful people is consistency. People start with a big vision, and people start with a lot of ambitions, but down the road they burn out. They're unable to keep what they have started. They're unable to maintain where they have started because of a lot of things that maybe we shall look at as we proceed. But tell us about how you understand consistency in relation to saving.
All right. Before I get into consistency,
Yes.
I think for one to understand consistency, it's important to understand one's background and build up the story to that.
It's very, very important.
Very important.
Yes.
So I'd like to share a bit about my background,
Please
a
do.
bit of who I am
Please do.
that makes me who I am today,
Please
for you
do.
to be able to understand the consistency in my life.
And why people would have confidence in what you're going
listening to me. Thank you very much. Yes. So they say that a person is defined by the stories that they tell.
Exactly.
So my story starts with me being a seventh child of 7 children. My parents were very industrious and they educated us. And from every step in life, I learned something. So I went to Buganda Road Primary School, and the motto was to fly on your own. And that was instilled in us right from the beginning. And then I went to Gayaza High School for O-level, and the motto there was never give up. So that was also instilled very strongly in me. And then I went ahead to Makerere College School for A-level, and the motto there was to be known by works and only good works. Now all these were building up a certain character in me, and at every stage in my education I learned something about money, spending it, saving it, and investing it. And
I think before you leave that, does it mean that school proprietors need to check their mottos because they communicate a lot to the students?
Absolutely. Because it defines the character of the school. Because that's something that you say consistently. It's on your uniform. It's something that you see. And subconsciously, it's something that stays with you.
And it's something you meditate upon every now and then. You sing in the anthems.
Absolutely. So all these 3 mottos that I have said, as you can see, build a certain character.
Sure. Fly on your own.
Determination.
Yeah.
Knowing your reputation and having a good reputation, which is very important when you're talking about money.
True.
So and then I went on to University of Dar es Salaam for my first degree, and then I did a master's at Reading University in the UK, and then now I'm a student again at University of Dar es Salaam.
Wow.
So all these have sort of built up to the person that I am now. When we talk about money, we can't talk about money without talking about how to make money.
Exactly.
So my job journey. My very first job was in my S4 VAC, where I was babysitting for my brother for money.
Now, hold on. This is a time when young people are, want to chill. It is vacation. They even rehearse how they are going to spend it.
No. We needed money for airtime and for chocolate and for other things. And because we knew we had to be independent and figure out a way to do it by ourselves, so that you're not always asking.
Did you ask for this job, or your brother just took you on?
It was a negotiation. So he needed a babysitter. I was available, but my time had to count for something. It wasn't going to be for free. So we negotiated. I negotiated a daily rate. Some of my siblings didn't understand why I was charging my brother for taking care of my niece, but for me to be there with him and his child I was giving up other things that I could have been doing as a youth, right? So I had to cost my time, which is something that is very important.
This was wisdom.
The aspect of opportunity cost.
Exactly.
So what is the motivation that will keep me going, being young and having so many things to do? So that's a start. Then in my Essex VAC, I was a receptionist at Workers' House, giving out those IDs. You know those people who sit and you take the ID and they give you a visitor's pass? That's what I was doing. And it taught me discipline. And it taught me humility. Because you meet all sorts of people, but it also taught me customer care, which is important. And then I worked as a valuer. You meet different people every day. Every day is new, every day is different.
When do you work as a valuer?
Oh, that's what I studied. That's what my first degree was in, land management and valuation. So every holiday that I came back from university, I was working. So I worked with Bjorksheka and Company, and then I also worked with Bageine and Company, and then later in Tanzania, I worked with Jimco Africa Property Limited. So then I also worked as a property manager, both with Bageine and Company and with Jimco Africa. And then there's a point when I was working 3 jobs. So I was a full-time valuer, but I was also lecturing at Makerere University and at Makerere University Business School. All this was before I got married, so I had a lot of time on my hands.
Sure.
So I figured that I had better make the most of my time now while I'm still young and active, because who knows the future? When you get a family, things, many priorities. But also while I was at university, I started a small business. Thanks to my mom who advised me. I started bringing Madeira and Vitenge, and this was back in 2006. And she gave me my startup capital because she wanted shares in my business. But over time, I bought her out. So I slowly gave her back her capital with her interest and bought her out. And although she was missing out on the business, she was very proud of my growth. So that was a good thing. And then while I was at Reading, I got a part-time job that I was doing online that was data entry. So you could do it at your own time, but then the more data you enter, the more you get paid. So it's up to you to use your time and be effective, because there was a timer on it. And then I'm a wife to 1. I'm a mother of 2 amazing girls.
Wow.
I am currently a student of psychology doing a second bachelor's degree, but I am also part-time lecturing in another department in real estate. So all these are things that I have done over time to make money. Now, all this taught me that we can spend our whole lives working for money, but we need to get to a point where money works for us, which is where investment comes in. So I have an investment model that helps people earn passive income, and it's called IWE, and that's short for Invest with L. So it's a point where now you've made money. It's not just sitting there in the bank, but it's also making money for you while you focus on doing all your other things. So then you start to earn a passive income. So that's basically what I do for money, and up till this point, that's what I've been doing.
Wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, you're the right person to talk about this topic. I now have all the confidence.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
Wow. So let us look at consistency, because I realize that all this journey you've talked about, it has been as a result of consistency.
Absolutely.
Yes. There is an important story I want you to tell us.
Yes.
You'll talk about it later as we move on. But for now, let us first break down the word consistency in relation to savings.
1, you cannot be consistent if you do not set goals. So it is important for you to have goals. It is important for you to know where you're heading and what you want to do in the future. When you set those goals, you have something to work towards. I remember in my A-level, when I started very actively saving, I had a list of things that I wanted to purchase in my Essex VAC or in the future. Of course, back in the day, with youth and different priorities. I had a TV on the list, I had a car on the list, I had a house on the list. And I actually took the time to find out how much these things cost. And when I found out how much they cost, I was like, hey, I have to start saving now if I want to have any of these things soon. So I actually broke it down and said, okay, so this is how much I have in pocket money. This is how much I will have maybe in the job that I'm going to get. I need to save a certain percentage towards this, a certain percentage towards that, and this is what I have to work with to spend. So many times we make the mistake of thinking that you save after spending, but that's not the case.
We actually think that saving is what is left after spending.
No. You need to consistently and intentionally save. Intentionally save. So it's not about spending and then saving what is left from what you spend.
Or it's not all about saving and saving and saving without
Saving
intention.
needs to be part of your budget. This is the percentage that I am going to save. The same way you prioritize tithe, the same way you prioritize rent, you need to prioritize saving. Yes.
Okay.
So have a goal and work towards that goal. Know your why, have a purpose. Okay? Why are you doing the things you do? Because if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a why, when things get tough, you will give up. But if you have a why, when things get tough, that will keep you going. And that will keep you going through the tough times. 3, break it down into small, manageable pieces. You're not going to make 50 million in one day, but have a plan towards making 50 million. Start by making 100,000. Start by saving 100,000. Work your way up to 500, to 1 million, to 2 million, and so on and so forth. And then before you know it, you'll have made your way to 50 million. But break it down into small, manageable chunks that you can achieve. And along the way, celebrate the small victories. You know, we want to do it all at once and then say, I've done it. But there's a journey, there's a way to get there. And I think our generation, because we see our parents and we want to be where our parents are today, but we forgot that they didn't get there in one. We forget that they didn't get there in one day.
True.
That there was a journey for them as well. And we need to have the patience and persistence and consistency to go through the journey to get to where we want to get. And then finally, one day at a time in the right direction. One step, one foot in front of the other, one day after another, and treat setbacks as commas and not full stops.
Please repeat that statement.
Treat setbacks as commas
and not full
stops.
Yes. What disturbs us as young people today is that when we get any setbacks, that is a full stop. That is the end.
Yeah.
What a statement. Kindly repeat it the third time. Then we shall go for a
Finally, treat all your setbacks as commas in your journey and not full stops.
Treat all your setbacks as commas and not full stops.
Yeah.
That is a very powerful statement. Young person, have you had any setbacks in what you've started? Please don't go anywhere. Sit where you are. We are here to demystify all those fears that are embedded in you. Thank you so much for watching this program. And I believe you have the right, you've taken the right decision to sit where you are and watch Flourishing Hub this Monday evening. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name. And we have our own here who has been hiding in Dar es Salaam. Okay, people in Dar es Salaam, please. We missed our own. So you've been enjoying all her knowledge, and thank God she has come back to share with us here. And we are looking at the magic of consistency in saving and investment. And before the break, you had really taken us through, you had broken for us consistency. And now, I want you to tell us, why do you think young people are still in school? Do you think young people in schools can still save and invest? Because you told us you started saving when you were at Marcos in A level. That is when you started. So, do you think it is all that possible? And the story I told you that I want you to share with us is when you start to invest in Biteng. Yeah. So what even inspires you to invest that money in that business? You know, so because this is what the young person out there needs. Some people are in school, but they're not sure that they should invest or they should spend all this money. It is Mzei's money. And I remember when we were still in school, we used to call. You call home. There is field work. You see people calling home asking for accumulated amounts of money, and they even create things that do not exist. They have asked money for photosynthesis, and then a parent who hasn't gone to school will send money for photosynthesis. The other time they'll send money for barometer and all that. So can a young child use this money wisely and invest it all? They can enjoy their time, crash all the money. They call themselves big spenders these days. Is that the way they should? All as someone who has gone through this, you have a word for them?
I strongly believe that yes, people in schools can save and invest. Now, although I probably started saving in A level, there's somebody in my primary school who inspired me, and I remember her name to date. Her name was Achen Martha.
Was she a student?
She was a student, and she was paying her own fees.
Wow.
What she used to do is when the rest of us would go home to play and all we had to worry about was homework, she would make crisps, potato crisps, and her crisps were tasty. And then she would come and sell them to us during break time. And they always got finished, or you had to hurry up and buy. The moment she opens like this, you had to be there and get, otherwise you'd miss out. So I think we close our minds when we think that we have to get money from our parents
or guardians.
Because there's so many opportunities that if we open our eyes and allow ourselves to see, we will see them and we will work on them. Now, I'm not advocating for child labor, but I also know a young girl who I had the pleasure of meeting. Her name is Abigail, and interacting with her. She is maybe 15, but she's already investing in treasury bills and bonds because she had guidance from her parents. So she was saving, and now she's investing in treasury bills and bonds, who some of us found out about when we were much older. Of course, those of us that are privileged to have pocket money, you can keep it. You can keep it, you can save, you don't have to spend all of it. And if you're honest with yourself, if there are people with you in school who are surviving without pocket money and you're privileged to have that pocket money, then there's a high probability that you can live without it. If others can do it, so can you. And then, of course, there's keeping your eyes open for opportunities and trying to understand your skills that you have that you can use to earn your money. So for me, it was my love for children. Children are naturally drawn to me. They've always been from when I was little. I used to babysit at parties. Before people came home, they'd ask if, before they come home for a party, they ask if I'm at home. So that if I'm at home, they can come with their children. If I'm not at home, they leave their children at home.
Were they paying?
Then they were not paying. Okay. I hadn't yet woken up, but I should have.
They should pay even now.
I should backdate and invoice them.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that came to eventually earn me money in my S4 VAC, because my niece was a bit of a difficult child and she was very picky with who she was close to, and she picked me and I earned money off that. I never asked my parents in S4 VAC for airtime because I was earning a small money that could buy me airtime and the small snacks that you can't ask your parents for. I'm a chocoholic, so yes, chocolate is an important thing to me. So yeah. Okay. So I believe, and then that brings me to the biashara. So how the biashara happened and what I mean when I say you need to look for opportunities. So when I went to Dar es Salaam for university in my first year, first semester, a classmate of mine was selling what we call Madeira or Deras. And these are free-fitting dresses. You know those ones which people are talking about badly, that married women
every married we should have it. That who told married women to have them.
Those ones, but they're very comfortable. So I got myself one. Now, of course, there was one because I wanted it, but one also to support my classmate. Now, as you can see, this is another classmate who I'm with in school who is making money. So I bought one and I went home with it. And when I came home with it, everybody wanted it. And I was like, okay. So my first thought as me then, I was like, this is a good gift idea. So the next semester when I came back with a few as gifts for my sisters, for my mom. And then people were like, what about me? I told them, guys, I'm a student. I'm on a student pocket. I don't have enough money to buy for everybody. And they said, who said we want you to bring for us for free? Bring them, we shall buy them. And it clicked. Now, I didn't have all the money that I needed then to bring the kind of stock that I should have, made some money on.
Yeah.
So my mom saw the opportunity and she jumped on it and she was like, I can give you the capital, we can sell, and then we share the profit based on what you bring in and what I bring in. Now, this is where honesty and accountability comes in, because she's my mother. I could have taken advantage of that.
True.
But I took her up on the offer, and the next time I came with a considerably more things to sell, and they disappeared. People were buying them immediately. And I sat down with my mom and I said, these are the pieces that I bought, this is how much I bought them, this is how much we've sold them. This is the money you put in, this is the money I put in. This is the profit we've made, here is your share and here is my share. And I told her, now with my share of the profit, I would like to buy you out a bit, so that next time when I come, I have a bigger share on the profit. And it went on and on like that. And it got to a point where on the days that I'd be coming home, I'd have people at home waiting for me because they wanted to have fast pick. And I maintained a client list that I still have to date. And I kept in touch with my clients, I kept in touch with my people. And that goes to say a lot about your networks and how you can use them and how they can be opportunities. Because the people that I sold these things to were my relatives, were people that knew me, my friends. And it's important, the relationships that you keep. And to this day, it's people that know me. So whether they're buying out of necessity of what I'm bringing, or they're doing it to support me in my business,
to support
either way, to support my hustle. There are those people who are like, okay, I don't need what she's bringing, but this is my person, I have to support her. So it's important to keep good networks and keep relationships and see opportunities where opportunities are and work on them.
Okay. Wow. Still moving on, what can a young person do to remain focused on saving and investment?
I'll quickly go through this one.
Yes.
Again, goals. Have a goal, know your why. That's very important. That's the core of it. Have a goal and know your why. 2, set a list for motivation. Have a list of to-do things so that you're organized mentally. What are some of the things you want to achieve? What is the targets that you're setting for yourself along the way? What is your journey path that you want to take? Either give zakah or tithe. Don't cheat God, because at the end of the day, if you can't cheat yourself, why would you cheat God?
Sure.
So if you're a Christian, tithe. If you're a Muslim, give zakah. Give charity, because there's blessings in giving. Let's not be greedy and keep to ourselves and want everything for ourselves. Always look for savings and investment opportunities, because they're out there. We just need to open our eyes and see them. Because I could have been blind to the biashara opportunity. I could have been blind to the Iwe opportunity that I'm working on now. I could have been, could have not thought of selling crisps.
Sure.
My classmate Sonny Bai could have not thought of selling Madeira to me, and also seek mentors that you trust, that can guide you on the journey, that know what they're doing. For me, in the biashara case, my mom was my mentor. She's a very active businesswoman, and she's been there for me along the way all the time. She's one of those who always buys something from me every time I come, regardless of the fact that she's no longer in the business. And have an accountability partner. Have someone who can sit you down and say, boss, what are you doing with your money? You said you'd be here at this point. You're not yet there. What has happened? What is holding you back? So it's important to keep those things and be accountable to yourself.
Okay. Besides having an accountability partner.
Yes, be accountable to yourself. Sit down. And so one thing that my mom taught me that has been very helpful in life is know where your money is going. So write down what you're spending your money on. I remember it used to be, I got so used to it that even when I'd spend 50 shillings on Orbit, back in the day it was 50 shillings, now it's 500 shillings, but anyway, back in the day it was 50 shillings. So even when I would spend 50 shillings, I would put minus 50 shillings. When I get pocket money plus this amount, at the end of the day I have my balance, I know how much I have and make sure it balances. And I did that on a daily for a long period of time. At the end of the month, I categorized them into groups of food or partying or charity or tithe, or so I know that this amount of money has gone to this amount of money has gone to that. So it's important for you to be accountable to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've talked about savings, and all along in all your journey you've shared with us, I realized that saving moves hand in hand with investment. Absolutely. Because saving is not enough. So money will definitely lose value if it is not invested. Now, before we take another break, tell us your understanding of this commonly used word, investment.
Okay. So very briefly, I believe that investment is using money to make money. Or what some people call making your money work for you. I had mentioned earlier that we go through life working for money.
Yes.
But we need to get to a point where now money is working for us, and that is investment. All right? There's two things that you need to think about. There's active investment, and then there's passive investment. So there's active income and passive income. So active investment is things like businesses, whereby what people call side hustles.
Yes.
You know, your hustle that you're putting your energy into and you're working towards and you're earning that money. Yes. So you have your job where you're working for somebody else, or you're working in somebody else's hustle, but you're using what you're getting from that to also have your own hustle and also do your own thing for yourself to earn you that side money. Now that's active investment. Something that you're actively involved in, that you're still putting in your sweat for and you're still working towards. Now it gets to a point where there's what we call passive income. Now, passive income is when you invest in something else that does not require your energy. So things like bonds, things like treasury bills, things like UTT, and I think we'll discuss more investment opportunities later. Sure. But it's things that you can invest your money in, and your money is working for you, and you're getting paid for your capital. Those of us that did economics, we know, you know, the things that you get paid for. So entrepreneurship is profit, land is rent, you know. When you have a job, you get paid a salary. But we need to get to a point where the money is now making more money for us without us actively sweating for it.
Okay.
Yes. So that is my idea of investment.
Wow. Now, do you still, have you sustained your business, the Chiteng business?
Yes, I have.
Up to now?
Up to now.
Wow.
Up to now.
Wow.
I started in 2016. I've been doing it a bit. I actually now have some people who buy for me as retailers to sell to other people.
Oh. So you're now a wholesaler?
You could say so. Something like that.
That's something like that. That is
exactly what it is. Yes.
Because if you have retailers that come to you, and so we get back to in just a minute before we take a break. There is something you talked about, which was keeping good networks. And last week on Flourishing Hub, we are looking at networks and the power of networks. So kindly tell us some of those networks that someone can use as their customers, ready customers to consume their goods or services if they're to invest.
I will start with one which all of us youth, and I still consider myself a youth, use, that I think we misuse: WhatsApp groups. If you look at all the WhatsApp groups that you're on, and you look at the members that are on the WhatsApp groups, and you add all those people up, all those are potential clients. Just starting right there. And now we have groups that go as far back as our primary school.
Yes.
I have a primary school group, I have an O-level school group, I have an A-level school group,
University
I have
groups.
friends, I have, I have all these networks that I have built over time. But then that also says that as youth, it's important for us to remember that the things we do today will affect our tomorrow. So if you're rude to people, if you're mean, if you're arrogant, if you're not trustworthy, if the reputation that you're making today will determine the networks that you will have and how people will treat you in the future.
Wow, so that is the power of network. As a young person, one of the ways in which you are going to transform Africa, wherever you are, is by saving intentionally, but also if you want this money that you're saving to grow, you should invest it. And what are some of the various investment options that you can invest in? Because some of us invest out of excitement. Now that our guest talked about the various investment options that you had and the inspirations that you had, you might be there charged and you think you're doing that business tomorrow and you've already seen a lot of possibilities. You've started calculating the profits and all that. Please wait. We have an answer for you. Eleanor, here we are, and I want you to take us through the various investment options that a young person there can invest their money in. Yes.
Okay. So there are numerous investment options, numerous, and they're new coming up every day. There are new ones coming up every day. So I would like to remind all of you out there not to keep a restricted or limited mindset. Keep your mind open and keep your eyes open for investment opportunities, because in everyday life and in everything that you do, you see places where there is a need, and where there is a need, there's an opportunity. So I'll just go through the most obvious ones, or maybe they're the most obvious to me, but it might be an eye-opener to somebody out there.
Exactly.
So of course the first one is the small businesses. I've already given examples of some of the small businesses that I encountered along my journey of school, and I think I don't need to go further into that. When we talk about
but you can break down the word small business, because what might be a small business to me is not a small business to Derek, my cameraman.
But
or it's not
that every big business was once a small business.
Yes.
We all start from somewhere.
Yeah.
So defining a small business, of course, if you want to go into the details of economics and all that, there are different, like small businesses, middle income, and then big businesses.
No, you want to
based
bring
on
it
like the amount of money you're making, the income you're making, either monthly or annually, or the number of people that you employ, or things like that. But what I'm talking about is these small things that bring
capital.
that bring in a little money. For example, Martha's crisps that she used to sell. For example, my dears that I used to sell. You're not making that much money on them, but with time it's growing. Okay, for example, bodas. Okay, there are so many boda riders out there who need a boda, but they don't have the capital for it.
True.
So I know that there are people in Dar es Salaam especially that have capitalized on that. So they get somebody, they buy the boda for them, they enter into a contract where after 2 years the boda becomes for that person. But in the course of those 2 years, they are making daily income. You could have a friend that has a business that is working. You could be like my mom. See an investment opportunity. You may not have the resources or the know-how to get it done, but you have the capital, and that person has the know-how, so you can partner up, like my mom did with me. So with small businesses, it's the small things that bring in that little extra money. Who knows, maybe I could have capitalized on my babysitting and made a small business out of it and opened a daycare. And seen and taken care of more than just my brother's child. It's a gift that I had, it's a talent that I had the time, I could have found the space, and it's workable. So when I talk about small businesses, I'm talking about that kaduka, where maybe you have nice taste in clothes and people are always asking you, hey, where did you buy this? Where did you buy that? Hey, I want to buy this, I know somebody who back in the day when personal shoppers were unknown was making money being a personal shopper. And I was like, wow. So people who want to buy things, you know where to get them, but they don't have the time to go out and buy them. So you go, you buy them for them, you bring, they try it out, and you get paid for that service. So that's what I mean when I talk about small businesses.
Yeah.
And then we have bonds, which are the safest investment. And the easiest way that I would define a bond would be basically what you're doing is you're lending the government money for a period of time. And then when the bond matures, the government gives you back your money with some interest. Now, of course, when you talk about investment, you talk about risk and return.
Exactly.
Now, the lower the risk, the lower the return. The higher the risk,
the higher the return.
The higher the return. Now, bonds are usually the best line for risk. If you're investing in a risky investment that is offering you a less return than what the bonds are offering you, then it's not worth it. Because that means you're paying more for the risk that you don't have to pay. You're better off investing in bonds because that's a sure deal thing. Because although yes, in our time we've seen governments go bankrupt, it's not a common thing. We've seen more individuals and businesses and all that going bankrupt sooner than we've seen governments going bankrupt. So basically that is the mentality and how bonds with regard to risk and return work. Treasury bills, which are almost similar to bonds but are different because they have a shorter lifespan. What
is the difference between treasury bills and bonds?
So bonds are usually long term, and treasury bills are usually more short term. And also the amount required for each is different. So if I'm to try and explain it in a layman or a simplistic way, I would say bonds are like the upgrade to treasury bills. So but that's my way of explaining it.
And it is the clearest way.
Yes, for us to understand without going into, when you have an economist on the show, they will break it down for you nicely. All right, so then
and bring out the statistics.
Yes, and bring out the statistics and give you the real details of how it goes. Then of course we have shares. Now with shares you have to be careful because now there you can buy a bad share, you can buy a good share and make some good money. You can buy shares to sell later, or you can buy shares to just keep getting dividends if it's a good share. And yeah, the process is a bit tricky, but it has now been simplified by the brokers, and it would be safest to invest in shares that are registered so that, you know, then it makes sense. Then I think something that is recent that is very good is the aspect of like UAP and UTT or unit trusts, and the concept is basically you give your money to UAP or in Tanzania UTT, and they invest that money for you and give you an interest on it. So they have access to all these different investments. So they invest in bonds, they invest in treasury bills, they invest in shares. So you don't have the headache of balancing all these investments that you've done. But you invest with them, and then they pull all that money together and invest it somewhere else, and then they give you a certain percentage. So it's like a profit sharing. Then we have, of course, savings and investment groups. If you have access to one with a group that you trust, it always helps to pull money together. Because the more money you have, the more you can do with it. The more you can do with it, the more money you can make. So it makes sense. So savings and investment groups, small circles and all that, those are also different ways to invest your money and watch your money grow. Then, of course, I will not kill the banking industry altogether. I think the one that we know are the fixed deposit accounts. Those ones teach us discipline. Of you're putting your money there, and my friend,
you invest the hard, you save the hard way.
Yes, so it's a good place to start. If you don't have the financial discipline, and every time you start to put money somewhere, you take it out. You know, it's nice to have these the packages that the banks give us for fixed deposits and for savings accounts and for, you know, and they tell you, okay, on a savings account you can withdraw only twice in a year. Any withdrawal after that will bring a charge. So then you also
And because
budget
you
and
don't
plan
want-
your withdrawals.
you want to avoid that
You
charge.
want to avoid the charge. So also fixed deposit and savings accounts are also a way to invest. And then of course business partnerships, like I said. So you can invest in various businesses that you trust and do profit sharing that is helpful along the way. So those are the few nuggets that I have.
Now, some wise man said that mistakes are mistakes when we do them, but what we learn out of them is what matters. So, what are some of the mistakes that young people should avoid when investing in order not to lose their hard-earned money?
Mistake number one, which happened to me, is please, when you have this money that you have saved and sweated for
Painfully.
keep it safely. Why do I say this? You remember that list that I made that was motivating me to save in S6?
Yes.
Guys, squeezed myself. I know this is going to sound, I hope it doesn't sound bougie, but I really squeezed myself. I didn't buy anything. I was making sure I was feeding on school meals. I was, you know, what they call okwenyima au kujinyima in Kiswahili. I was really squeezing myself because I was so focused on what I wanted to do and what I was doing for, and my why was very strong and I was determined and I had all these things. And then one day, like 3 days before holidays, somebody stole all that money.
Oh no.
I said, you know what? Forget saving. If it's short, you only live once. You know, who knows? I might not even live long enough to see the things that I'm saving for. This is a lesson. God is teaching me that I was being too hard on myself and that this money was meant to be spent. So spend it all. But like I said, treat setbacks as commas
and not full stops.
So eventually I picked myself up, but that was a mistake. I should have kept it safer. I should have kept it better. And who knows where I'd be today? Maybe I'd be even better than where I am now.
Sure.
Okay? So that's one. Two, banange, avoid impulse spending. Avoid impulse spending and avoid impulse decisions. Do not be quick to jump into an investment opportunity because you've seen the opportunity and you want to jump into it. So avoid impulse spending and avoid impulse investment. Think about it, sleep on it, pray on it, consider the ups and the downs. Right. Don't spend before you earn. You know this thing of you're expecting this money and you start spending it before you've earned it, please.
So that when it comes, it is covering up all the already spent.
No, my friend. Earn first, then spend from what you have. In other words, live within your means. Don't spend more than you earn. Please, we all get to a point and we get debts. We need debts. When you get in debt, please pay your debts. Because that helps you build accountability. That helps you build a reputation. It helps you build trustworthiness. So pay your debts. Avoid very high risk investments. Don't invest money you're not ready to lose. Have you heard me? Don't invest money you're not ready to lose. A mistake that many people make is you go and invest your rent money, you invest the children's school fees, you invest, and then when it's a bad investment, it's the end of your world. So be careful where you invest and don't invest money
that you're not ready to lose. Derek has had that.
All right. And then don't put all your eggs in one basket, I think would be my closing mistake to avoid. So if you can diversify your investment portfolio, the more diverse, the better.
Wow. Before we leave you, what are your parting shots? What are your closing remarks on appertaining the magic of consistency in saving and investment?
I guess I've been saying them along the way, so I'll repeat just a few highlights. Of course, treat every setback as a comma and not a full stop. It's not the end of the world. Things happen. We move on. We learn and we move on. Pay your debts. Plan your expenditure. Don't spend without a plan. Plan your expenditure. Save before you spend. Spend less than you earn. Live within your means. distinguish between wants and needs. Save, invest, grow your wealth. You don't have to spend on everything. Not every occasion needs a new outfit.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this precious moment and the knowledge you've shared with us. I believe it has been an eye opener to very many people out there. And you, our viewer, we are grateful that you chose the right thing. Tuning in Church of Uganda Family TV this evening. It has been a pleasure having you from where we started from up to this time. I want to dedicate this program to one of the people who always watch Flourishing Hub every Monday. That is Mr. Martin Lubega in Kawempe. Thank you so much for watching this program, and God bless you all. Next on your screen is Issues at Hand with Bruno Edgard. We'll meet again next time.